Okay, boys and girls. On Monday, when we did our writer's workshop, we started to annotate this text set called Hamburgers and Tacos. And as I walked around yesterday during the mock FSA testing, I noticed that some of you are still kind of struggling with trying to pull out main ideas out of the text set. So today I wanted to kind of walk you through a way that you could do your planning sheet for your essay. And if you go ahead and turn in your packet, go ahead and turn to the page that has the directions on it. Remember what we talked about. The very first thing we always want to do is we want to read the directions. We want to read the directions. We want to figure out exactly what we're being asked to do. And the directions for this text set state the passages you read were about the histories of hamburgers and tacos. Write an essay in which you explain how the histories of these two different foods are alike and different. Okay, so what are they asking you to do? What are they asking you to do? Micah?
They're asking us to explain how the two histories of hamburgers and tacos are alike and how they are different.
Okay, so can we write a thesis statement right now, thinking about these directions? Quick, turn and talk to a partner and write the thesis statement in the air.
My thesis statement is they're the same. That's originated from
Okay, so what do you think it might be a good?
Let me go over here.
Now, you're writing an engagement. Yes. What is the thesis statement?
And also another thing
Okay. Oh, think about it. Think about it. Talk to Julia a little bit. How could you define it? It's close. Every direction. Okay, so let's come quickly back. Sawyer, when you and Adrian were writing in the air, what did you did you test out as a thesis?
We tested that how hamburgers and tacos history are like and different.
Okay, that sounds like a question. Okay, remember your thesis statement is not a question. Anybody else have something? Could you revise that? Think about that, Olivia.
The history of hamburgers and tacos are alike and different.
Okay, the history of hamburgers and tacos are alike and different. That works. Does anybody have a different one? Carson?
The history of hamburgers are better than tacos.
Say it again.
The history of hamburgers are better than tacos.
But that sounds like an opinion to me. What kind of an essay are you trying to write? Are they asking you for your opinion as to which one has a better history? Okay, they're not. They're asking you to explain. Okay, Gabby?
That the history of hot dog and hamburgers are alike and different.
Okay, well that's not a thesis statement, but it's closer than what you gave me a minute ago. Okay, let's think about what we did when we were looking at our food flavoring text set. Does anybody remember how we thought about that thesis statement? We started it with although. Okay, who can give me a thesis statement? Julia.
Although tacos and hamburgers have many differences, they are alike in many ways too.
Okay. What is specifically alike? Look at the directions. What are they asking you to do? Help her out, Olivia.
They're asking you to explain how the histories are similar.
Okay, so if we start by saying, although tacos and hamburgers are different, You can even say different foods. Their histories, because we want to use that specific language from the directions. Their histories are similar. And you could write that. I'm not going to write it right now, but you could write that in your cloud or your thesis statement. Okay, so now we've already read the text set. We've already done anecdotal notes on the sides, annotated the text. We've broken it. Remember what we did on Monday? On Monday, we remembered our, God bless you, we remembered our nonfiction reading strategies that we learned in our unit of study for reading. Remember, we break it apart into pieces. We think about each section. We jot words in the white space to help us remind ourselves where and what was being talked about in the article. So now let's put it together. All right, so think about both of these articles. You've read both of them. You've annotated them. Okay, turn and talk and come up with one way that the histories of these two foods are alike. I understand that. What happened to the partner you just used a minute ago? Okay, so Sawyer, could you share with us what you and Adrian were talking about? What is one way in which you found a similarity in their histories?
I said they both have a problem and solution.
Okay, so they both had a problem with getting the food accepted by what? Say it again.
By Americans.
Okay. Okay, so they both had a problem. Who came up with another one? Olivia?
I came up with for differences. They were.
Well, we're looking for similarities. Remember the lesson that we did on apples and oranges? Remember, we've come up with a way that they're similar. Like apples and oranges both have a skin. And then we talk about how they're different. The skins of the apples are different from the skins of the oranges. So something that you noticed that they talked about in the first article, and then they talked again about it in the second article. Tegan?
I came up with in history, Americans didn't want to try the.
But isn't that what we just said? Anybody else talk with their partner about something different than the problem? Micah, what did you and Jesus talk about?
We both talked about how both foods became popular to Americans.
Okay. So they eventually became popular. Now notice I'm not writing this in a complete sentence yet. I'm just jotting down the ideas. Okay, so for one thing, we had a problem with Americans accepting the food, and then they eventually became popular, which I think echoes what Sawyer had said earlier about what did you want to add that, Sawyer? What did you call this? You and Adrian said you noticed two things. They both had a problem and they both had a
Solution.
Okay, so this seems like it's the solution, right? Okay, anybody else notice anything when they were talking with their partner? Something different? Carson, did you and Aiden notice anything? Go back and look at the words that you wrote in your article. Remember what you wrote in your article, things that you might have written down in the white space. Let me zoom out just a little bit so you can see it. Jerry, did you notice anything that was talked about?
No.
Where did the hamburgers and the tacos come from?
Different countries.
Okay, but they were both brought to our country by what?
Immigrants.
Immigrants. Okay, so could we put that down here?
Yes.
Yes, we could. Okay, and so now we're ready to turn these into sentences. And remember what we talked about. We talked about if we don't put a sentence in our planning sheet, what we're finding is we don't end up with a sentence in our essay. So a way that you can write this as a sentence would be something like both hamburgers and tacos were, and then I will make this a lowercase letter, brought to the United States by immigrants. And so now it's a sentence. Now I can put a box around it. It's a main idea. Okay, turn and talk with your partner, and I want you to do the same thing with the problem. Rewrite it as a sentence. Rewrite it as a sentence. Okay, well, remember that we're writing a comparing and contrasting essay, right? Are there any compare and contrast words that we need to put in there? Okay, so you could say both. What do we do with the other one? Okay, so do that same thing with the second one. What would you say? Write it in the air for me, then you can write it down on your paper. What is they? So you can say hamburgers and tacos, both became popular to Americans. Okay. Okay, Anthony. Guys, let's stop for a second. Anthony, you and Tegan were writing that in the air. How would you write it? How would you write that into a sentence?
Tacos and hamburgers both had a problem with Americans accepting their food.
Okay. So say it again. Hamburgers.
And tacos both had a problem with Americans.
Being accepted by Americans. And this is my planning sheet, so it can be sloppy. Okay, so what you're going to do during our independent time is you are going to write this third main idea as a sentence. And then you're going to go back into the text and collect the bullets that you're going to add to each of these main ideas. Because remember when we did our lesson on apples and oranges, first we found out how they were similar, and then we described how even though they had a similarity, they were different. All right, so you're going to collect your evidence and complete your planning sheet. If you finish your planning sheet before our time is up, you can begin to write your essay. And don't forget to use all of the resources that you have in your binder. Any questions before I send you back? Those of you with the checker on your desk are going to join me at the middle table for a small group. Go ahead and make your way back, guys.